Hi there, and welcome to another interview. Today, I've got the fantastic Sara with me, and I'm going to ask her the question I ask absolutely everybody. First question is, hey, Sara, why did you become carnivore?
Hi, thanks for having me, Stephen. Obviously, I haven't been carnivore all of my life. I have transitioned into carnivore the last 9 months, I would say. It started off originally in around Christmas 2021, where I decided that I needed a full lifestyle change, basically. I was severely overweight, and I work for the NHS, and during that time in COVID, it was quite difficult having to be patient-facing and be under pressure, basically, of maybe catching COVID and being unwell. And because I had comorbidities of I was type 2 diabetic, I suffered with high blood pressure, all of these things for over 20 odd years, medicated as well. I used to inject myself for diabetes and have blood pressure medication. I was under rheumatology for joint pain. So a lot of issues. My BMI was over 35. So I was at high risk of catching COVID whilst working with the NHS. So my manager wouldn't allow me to patient face in high risk areas, which I was really sad about, basically, because I think, how can you expect junior members of staff to go into those areas when you can't yourself? You can't lead by example. So I thought I got to do something about this, and I decided that I needed to lose weight. That was the first thing. So my husband was following a low carb lifestyle, and he said, well, why don't we do this together, because it's easier if we both do it, and that we could food prep together, and it wouldn't be such different changes of lifestyle. So that's what I tried. So we did the low carb for a few months, and then we eventually gravitated into keto, quite a strict keto diet, and was enjoying the diet. And we met a nutritionist local to us in South Wales in Neath, Richard Smith, who we had several consultations with, and he gave us loads of really, really expert advice on our nutrition and how to move forward with it, really. So in that space of 11 months, I lost 5.5 stone, and I had fully reversed my type 2 diabetes, and my nurse practitioner, was astounded. She said, my goodness, you're a miracle worker. But no, it's literally just obviously following that low carb diet, as we know, is really, really good for improving type 2 diabetes. So I was taking off all of my medication. Obviously, blood pressure driven again by insulin resistance, that came back down to normal. So they had to take me off my blood pressure medication. I didn't suffer with joint pain any longer. So I was able to go for some walks. I hadn't done any exercise at this point. I was just, changing my nutrition. But I started to love walking. So I would walk, every evening, just a 3-mile loop around my community, and that extended a bit. But over the gradual next 3 to 4 months, I think I lost an additional stone in weight, and so my total weight loss was 6.5 stone, and I seem to have plateaued at that, and have been that weight now for over 18 months, 20 months, something like that. And it seems to be, my body's quite happy with this weight loss. Now I am carnivore. The transition from low carb to keto to carnivore, I think, was quite natural. And I do have to highlight here that Richard, the expert nutritionist, he was advising me to eat meat, animal products all of the time. And I was never a meat eater. I had never tasted steak till last year. So it's quite a big change for me. So over this last 8 months, when I've been eating nearly rump steak every day, and eggs, and mainly red meat. The butcher makes meatball mix for me without any filler, and they will, mince fillet steak and liver and heart in there, so I'm getting organ meat as well. So yeah, it's really good. It's fantastic lifestyle. As I said, I'm in my 50s now, and I actually feel fitter and healthier than I was in my 20s. So it's been a game changer, for me.
Yeah, that's just so many things to talk about there. Just for the viewers outside the UK, a stone is 14 pounds. So 6.5 or 6.5 stone is about 91 pounds of weight loss there. It's just for those that are not sure, which is amazing. And obviously, if you're watching, this will be a podcast, but if you're watching it on YouTube, you'll also see the pictures and you can see the incredible difference. And also working in the NHS, it's quite good to hear that people in that space can be open to new ways of eating and thinking about their health in that way. And it's quite a short period of time that you lost that amount of weight. What's been the reaction from your colleagues?
They've been very supportive, and they realise obviously that I was on quite a strict nutrition plan, and even though they still may eat, biscuits or cakes within the working space, they always say, you don't need this, or, do you want it? And I'm like, no, because I don't need it. And it would taste so sweet to me. I could never, ever eat it now, because I find things which aren't sweet now. But no, some of my colleagues, I also work in a local university in Swansea, and during the pandemic, we were working at home for most of the time. And when I went back into university for a graduation ceremony, when we were allowed, none of my colleagues recognised me. So I had to actually take my cap and gown. I had to take it off and say, "It's me," because they didn't know who it was. But
the difference is amazing. Yeah, the difference is amazing. Absolutely. I'm going to ask you a pretty mean question now, because obviously you did get pretty heavy. How did that happen? How long did that take for you to get to that excess weight?
I don't think I've never been skinny. I was always very sporty when I was younger, and I was always like a sprinter. I ran sprinting, and I swam, and I cycled. I was really active. And then I think the main driver for the weight gain was having my children. I have 3 kids, and none of the pregnancies were easy. And I put on a lot of weight in the first one. I had preeclampsia, a lot of water, so I had high blood pressure, gestational diabetes, and that's where it all stemmed from. It just never went. And yeah, so the weight didn't come off as easy. So, and I think I had 2 further children, and even though you're always busy with the children, you're not looking after yourself as you should. I think that's the main thing, because they become your priority, and I was always doing everything for them and eating something on the go.
And what was there any particular foods, standout foods that taken out of your diet really surprised you how different you felt? For many people, it's just bread, for instance.
I was never a big bread person. For me, when I was younger and I was running, for example, or cycling, my diet mainly consisted of pasta, tuna, cheese. Pasta was my main staple. And I thought that was quite healthy back then, because of what we're told, and especially, if you're doing exercise, you're carb loading and all this. So yeah, I would eat pasta, tuna, cheese. Probably I could eat it 3 times a day. But yeah, that's probably the main thing which has been the biggest shock then is the, the pasta. And I'd probably say most teeth in my head were sweet teeth. And I love chocolate. So to go without chocolate, is massive for me. And the transition away from it, to be honest, when I was low carb, I used to treat myself initially with diabetic chocolate, because it was like, you think, oh, it's low sugar in here, this is fine, I shall have one square of diabetic chocolate as a treat. But even then, you just get used to not having the sweetness. So when you do have that little bit of sweetness, it's like, oh, so you just don't want it anymore.
Yeah, and that's the thing I think is amazing for many people, because I really was into all the sweet stuff and cappuccinos and all those sort of things. I did like, and bran muffins occasionally, but I don't miss any of that stuff. I just enjoy feeling a lot better. So yeah, you lost a lot of weight, but there's some really important things there health wise. For instance, the type 2 diabetes. Was you surprised that you were able to reverse that? And when did you realize that was happening?
Yeah, I was surprised that, because they put me on medication. I was injecting myself weekly with Trulicity medication, and I was surprised that I was able to come off it, because they said, once you're on this, you're on it for life, sort of thing. And I'm like, oh, okay. But my HbA1c results were always like really bad. So I needed to go on medication, they said. There was no guidance specifically about, if you just change your lifestyle and, cut out the carbs and everything, that you'd be able to potentially put this into remission. I think I had a 10-minute nutrition sort of talk 20 odd years ago, and then nothing within the NHS framework regarding it. But, they are severely under pressure and under-resourced. So it's no doubt, with the amount of people who are pre-diabetic and diabetic, it's amazing they get around everybody. But yeah, I was so happy when they said, oh, we're removing you from the diabetic register, you're no longer diabetic. And I'm like, oh, this is really good, because I'd been, to have my eyes tested so many times, and all the 6 monthly checks. And now you think, oh, I don't need this intervention, I don't need the medication, the blood pressure medication, I hate taking tablets. I struggle big time. If, to have to take a tablet is like torture for me. I would rather give myself an injection. But so to be able to come off all medication is fantastic.
Yeah, and I think one thing you said there, we're never into knocking the health service, the people that work at the health service. It's the people at the top. If you're a nurse and you're pressured, I've had girlfriends that have worked as nurses, people in the family work at the NHS. Yeah. I'm a specialist practitioner in obesity and diabetes, so I have to deal with the NHS. Yeah. It is the top people that we're unhappy with, because if they just gave a clear indication, if you've got someone diabetic, here are some options, and gave those low carb options out, the nurses would see the results, like that's happened to you. Yeah. Firstly to themselves, because there's people that work at the NHS, and there's many doctors and nurses that are overweight and have diabetes themselves. They would see the results in themselves, and then it would be a much easier place to work, because they would have something in their armory that does actually regress the condition. And that's the thing that, but it bugs us, that we can't say, try low carb, it's not the standard duty of care. So their hands are tied as well. But, definitely. There's also the other side where you take personal responsibility and do your own research and those sort of things. And, but it shouldn't be that. It should be coming from the top down. So yeah, that's great. And I applaud you for for sticking with it. And it is frustrating because I have many people come to me and say, I've just been told I've got this progressive chronic disease that I'm never going to reverse. And yet I've done my research and apparently you can. And they do. I mean, I had someone off metformin within 7 weeks. It's just, of 20 years of metformin, 7 weeks of proper diet, and they're off it. And also your blood pressure. What about your joint pain? Did that go as well?
Yeah, joint pain went, and it was quite remarkable, really, because I tried to go running with my husband, and apart from the fact, obviously, I was carrying excess weight. The joint pain was unbearable. So that's why when I lost the weight, I started walking, but then I did couch to 5K, and I enjoyed the running so much. So within a year, I ran London Marathon, and I just ran it again last Sunday. So it's been, a game changer with the fact that, I've got no more joint pain. My health is, well, I'm in tip-top shape. Fit and healthy, and as I say, I did take 10 minutes off my time last weekend.
So it was a 9-month journey, was it really, with the weight loss and all the
11 months really.
I mean, that's very quick, isn't it, for that amount of weight? So that's almost about 9 pounds a month you were losing, but you was losing it consistently. Was there any moments or any times when you felt like giving up? Was there any, sort of roadblocks or obstacles?
No, there wasn't any time where I felt like giving up. I'm very stubborn, and once I get something in my mind, I'm set on it, and nothing is going to dissuade me otherwise. So I was very focused, and I think that has helped me to remain very strict. And like no cheat days even, and I haven't had any alcohol or anything, so even my 50th birthday party, I had no alcohol. So that's how strict I've been, so it hasn't been easy, but I've really enjoyed it, to be honest. I think I've learned lots about myself, and I've learned that I like to be able to help other people like yourself. I've been volunteering in the local shop where Richard, the nutritionist, works. He's got a keto shop, and I volunteer there on weekends and evenings as a health coach, and help people with diabetes or other ailments that we can help with nutrition. I did do 2 nutritional courses over the space of the last 2.5 years, only because I wanted to know more information myself. And as a scientist, I think it's a quest for knowledge then that I needed, because I was doing this. I could see it was working. I wanted to read loads of research and lots of information. So I completed 2 courses as well. And and the people who come to the shop or to see me in the shop are really positive, and they said, I've been inspirational and a lot of help to them as well.
And you are a qualified scientist, aren't you?
Yes. Well, I'm a neurophysiologist in the NHS. So yeah.
Yeah. So when you first discovered the carnivore diet, what was your initial thoughts? Did you think, wow, this is crazy? This is...
Yeah, I did think it was crazy, especially as I hadn't even, tasted steak at that point. But Richard was adamant that it was the way forward, basically, for, to cure everything and for athletic performance as well. So I thought, well, I am going to try it. My husband was keto, and we said that we'd try the carnivore together. So we have done, and we've been quite successful on it. And to be honest, I don't find it very restrictive. I'm quite happy that meals can be repeated if you like, because sometimes with work and family life and training, then my eating window is quite narrow. So I like to just, cook my steak, eggs, and and eat.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's do some practicals then. So what is your meal frequency?
Probably mainly once a day. Yeah. I do quite a bit of fasting. So I did a 24-hour fast yesterday. And I just like to throw in fasting about a couple of times a week. So I think it's quite cleansing. And to be honest, I don't feel hungry most of the time. So I have to remember to eat. So
yeah, that's a big difference, isn't it? I hear this time and time again and experience it myself. I used to think about food all the time, but once I've been carnivore, you do tend to lose that, I think.
yeah.
And you've mentioned Richard a few times, and just for people that are not up to speed on my channel, I've interviewed Richard Smith. He's a keto pro. So you can see that interview. I'll put a link in the description for people. One of the things that I think is really interesting is when I spoke to him, you've got the shop and there are other supplements there, but you're both pretty adamant that you don't really need the supplements. They have a particular purpose for certain situations. I very much like that. I tend to tell people, if you can eat your protein and eat your fats from whole food, that tends to be the best thing. But I've got a couple of things I'm going to ask you about, because the big thing in the keto and the carnivore space is electrolytes. I've got this here. It's not product placement. I'm not an affiliate, and I'm not on commission. So anyway, why would I take keto electrolytes? What would be a situation where I'd need to take that?
Basically, I think anybody who is initially going low carb should take electrolytes. Richard's electrolytes are one of the purest and most natural electrolytes on the market. They taste great. There's loads of Himalayan salt in them, so it's really natural as well. But they're packed with magnesium. So, but when we eat low carb and we're trying to lose weight, obviously the fat comes out of our cells, and it takes a lot of salt out of our body as well. So we need to replace that salt. And we don't realize, I think, that we think that we need to hydrate, we need water, but we don't. We need salt. So we need to put that salt back in our body, because that's what fuels our little battery cells in our mitochondria. So we need to get that back in, and it'll help you not experience the keto flu, or if you have it, then obviously it will dampen down those symptoms as well. But yeah, I do take electrolytes. Several bottles of it a day, really. I just sip it throughout the day. Even now, after all this time, electrolytes are essential.
Yeah, and I think part of it is down to food production, or the state of our soil, actually. So what the animals are eating, the soil is not as good as it was maybe 100 years ago. And the other thing that I always find comes up every so often is MCT powder, which looks like that, medium chain triglycerides. And we were speaking before the interview about, when I was keto, I used to use that in my coffee. But so why would you use MCT oil then, Sara?
So I use the powder format in my coffee, as you mentioned. So coffee in the morning, if I have it, would have a MCT powder in. And sometimes I add it to my electrolytes as well if I'm training, as an extra boost for energy. Obviously, MCTs, they get absorbed into our body a slightly different way than other lipids. So they would go straight to the portal vein of the liver and, ramp up our ketone production, so that we're, burning those ketones as well. And obviously, because we're fat adapted, we're using our own fat. We want, if I want an extra boost of fat, then I put in some MCTs. For me to be able to maintain my weight now, I add it every day to one drink, so that I don't continue to lose any weight. But yeah, they're really good. The other version of it, you can get it in an oil format. I don't drink it in an oil format because, for me personally, I just don't like the consistency. But like, my husband would drink it in his cycling bottle. But I've found a great use for the oil recently, because I have a sports massage every couple of weeks to keep my legs tidy for running. And I was I said to my massage therapist, I said, what oil are you using? Because after I've had a massage, I've been feeling unwell. So, we thought, oh, we'll look into this. And the first ingredient on his massage oil is canola oil, which obviously I've been not having any seed oils, vegetable oils for the last 2 years. So that's why obviously I was feeling unwell with it. So now he uses the MCT oil for my massage, and it's much, much better. He says it's great to use as well. So that's good. And it just means that I don't feel unwell with the massage oil.
I mean, it's amazing, isn't it, how the seed oils are in absolutely everything, and it's definitely worth avoiding those. So you feel I found that quite interesting in there. You said you don't want to lose any more weight, so you feel that you're at the weight you want to be now, then, do you?
I think naturally my body is sort of gravitated to this, but yeah, I don't want to. I think because I train quite a lot now, I don't want to lose any more. I've gone from a size 20 dress size, a UK size 20, to a UK size 6 to 8. So that's quite drastic. So I don't want to go any smaller. It shows too much wrinkles for one.
Well, I think you're looking incredible, actually. And I mean, your story is pretty amazing. One of the things I noticed on your website about the Keto Pro is it puts here that you've had a combined weight loss of 196 pounds, but I didn't quite get how did we get to 196 pounds on the website?
Well, I think that's myself and Richard.
Ah, right. Okay. Yeah. So
yeah,
you've lost that between you. Wow. Yeah. That's amazing, isn't it? That's such a lot of weight, and you've lost the 91 of that. So
yeah.
Do you feel it's difficult to talk to people about this? Do you feel there's a lot of pushback, or more people accepting it now?
I think people who they're very curious as to how I've lost weight and how I'm living now. They are very curious about it. But they just say, oh, I could never go without bread. Oh, I could never go without this. But I'm like, well, you could if you tried. And it's more of mind over matter, I think, for me, that it's been, you have to want it, for one. I don't think you can do anything if you don't actually want the change. And I did. I wanted to be healthy. And I think that I could never go back to eating the way I was, or eating anything that I used to eat, because I don't want to be diabetic again. I don't want high blood pressure. And, I know that as soon as I do that, I would raise insulin resistance and I would be, have those ailments again. So I speak to anybody who comes into the shop and anybody who will listen. Lots of people have said, you're not allowed to talk about food today. But then we went out with our friends for a meal a couple of weekends ago, and there were 3 of us on the table who were essentially 2 keto, 1 carnivore, and all the other members of our friends were, fascinated by it and wanted to know. And I think by the end of the day, we'd converted them all. So.
Well, the thing is, you're an example as well, aren't you? And when going back to what you said earlier about your colleagues not even recognizing you, that shows the change, which is absolutely incredible. So if there was somebody on the fence listening to this thinking, I'm still not sure what about carnivore, what would you say to them?
I would say it's definitely something that you should do, especially if you've got any metabolic illness, or there's any metabolic illness in your family. I think just to prevent yourself having these illnesses in the future, if you're young, then if you start off eating correctly when you're younger, then it's going to have a bigger impact on your life and your longevity. You're gonna live forever. Now I say I want to live till I'm 100, so it's definitely something that everybody needs to do. I think we'll free up the NHS, for one, if we can, encourage more people to take ownership of their health. I think if they start to eat properly and realize that most of the illnesses that you can have are related to our nutrition and our metabolic health, then I think, that's the way forward, trying to promote it. I have recently been made an ambassador of the public health collaboration as well. So I'm hoping to spread their word as well to help GP services and nurses to follow low carb essentially, and then keto, and maybe essentially carnivore lifestyles for people with these illnesses.
Yeah, I think the public health collaboration, which is UK centered, by the way, is a fantastic new movement, really. And Dr. David Unwin was my first exposure to the public health collaboration, and Zoe Harcombe as well, because their work. Dr. Unwin on diabetes is amazing, and he's a guest I'm trying to get on, actually, because I do love his graphics, which basically breaks down cereal into how many spoonfuls of sugar that it's got, and fruit, how many spoonfuls of sugar it is, or equivalents, basically the impact it has on your body when you eat it. So I think it's a brilliant thing. I didn't know you were ambassador there, so that's good. Are you going to the conference in Sheffield on May the 23rd, I think it is?
Yeah, no, it's the 19th and 20th of May. Yeah, right. We're going to the conference. I'm really looking forward to it. They've got some really great guest speakers, and being obviously a neurophysiologist, I'm really excited about the Alzheimer's and metabolic health talk there as well. So anything brain related just grabs my attention. And
well, you've just grabbed my attention. Can you tell me a little bit more about what's happening there then?
Well, they've got a discussion forum going. They've got a table of experts who will be discussing basically Alzheimer's and essential therapy with nutrition. So yeah, it's going to be great.
Yes, and Alzheimer's is often termed behind the scenes as type 3 diabetes, isn't it? So there seems to be a link.
Yeah, I think it is termed that, but sometimes it's not quite type 3 diabetes. Looking into the research, I think it's more of insulin resistance in the brain. So it's important to understand the difference. Our bodies can be insulin resistant and give off, the metabolic symptoms in all sorts of things. But the Alzheimer's is considered the insulin resistance of the brain then. So I'm looking forward to the lectures, the talks, and the discussion with the experts.
Yes, and so am I, actually. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens there. I'm sure there'll be some YouTube videos after it's gone on.
They've actually put it online now. You can sign up for online tickets, so you don't have to be there in person. You can watch it live online.
Yeah, that's excellent, having that live stream. I think that's really good. I mean, one of the things I've found, I've got now over 500 clients. I've nearly done 100 of these interviews on video, and reversing type 2 diabetes, managing type 1 diabetes, losing weight, obviously, losing body fat, controlling your blood pressure, losing joint pain, come up constantly. Skin improvements, that's constant. Body composition, much better. But other things as well, anxiety, stress, Alzheimer's, dementia, all these things seem to improve, or the progression seems to be slowed by just changing your diet. So I think it's such a good message to send out. I'm really excited about the future, actually, and I think more and more people are trying it, and more people are open-minded, especially, as you say, like the NHS is bursting at the seams because it's, there's not enough money or staff or time, because the diabetes and obesity crisis just gets worse and worse and worse. And I personally think two things you could do, or the main thing is to get rid of processed food and get seed oils out of your diet, even if you've not gone carnivore, to clean up your diet in that way, and then try and take out the refined carbohydrates. You don't have to go carnivore, but I think the more you do this, I don't know if you felt this, I think you probably did, because you went keto and then carnivore. The more you take carbs out and the more you replace it with meat and fish and eggs, the better you feel. It just seems simple to me.
Definitely. I think I've probably gone a little step further as well, because I've removed like shampoo on my facial cleansing and creams. I've not gone down the tallow route with everything, so I have tallow shampoo, tallow moisturizers and tinted moisturizers via a great company called Fierce Nature. Their soaps and everything is really good. And yeah, my daughter said, "You are putting fat on your face." I'm like, "Yes, I am."
Yeah, I'm a big tallow fan. I've just showered actually after my workout from, and I've used a tallow soap actually. So yeah, that's great. Sara, thank you so much for coming on today. Have you got any final thoughts just to wrap it up?
Thank you very much for inviting me to come on. But yeah, it's been great. I do try spread the message that everyone can improve their own health and well-being by just changing nutritional input. Basically, you don't have to be as strict as we are. I don't think any change is better than nothing at all. And for some, I even say if you can do it for 5 days out of 7, that's better than not doing it at all. So I think any changes to your diet to remove, as you say, the seed oils and the processed food and refined sugars will make a massive impact to anybody well-being, as you mentioned earlier, with mental health and anxiety, and with physical appearance and health.
Wow, that was really interesting. I love that guest. Absolutely amazing. If you like stuff like that, don't forget to look at this video next. And while you're at it, look in the description, download the Carnivore Experience app.